There is nothing like a indie sci-fi thriller that actually is vibey and interesting, and this is just like barking up the right tree for me, man. But I think you'll like this sci-fi indie thriller. Let's get into it. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of The A-Frame. That's right, it's a new movie that you can actually rent online. I actually reached out to the company to try to get a screener for it, but I wasn't able to get it, and I just wanted to see it so bad anyway. I went ahead and just got it to watch it for you guys and tell you about it now. So, why am I excited? Well, this is a movie that is obviously a very indie thriller sci-fi movie with some nice aesthetics, some nice visual choices, and also a very small premise that makes it feel really big. And I love those kind of films. I love the heart of those kind of films because it really is the big stepping stone right before they create something even bigger usually, or at least hopefully leads to something like that. This movie is essentially about a quantum physicist who develops a machine that creates a tunnel to a subatomic universe. In his quest to prove the machine's efficacy, he inadvertently stumbles upon a cure for cancer. There's a couple of people in this movie that try out the treatment, and yes, it does get pretty wild. Now, this is by director and writer Calvin Lee Reeder, who did a short in the Field Guide to Evil called The Melonheads, and he also did a movie that's been in my queue forever called The Oregonian, which has like a frog on the front, and I've been told that I should watch this movie a million times, but now I'm on a mission to go see it because of this movie. We get some familiar faces. There's Dana Nemerode, who is like the lead girl in the movie, named Donna. We got Nick Dodani, who plays Rishi, her friend, and Johnny Whitworth, who's Sam, the scientist, the quantum physicist. There's other cast and other people, but it's a pretty small indie film. This has some visual choices that really just go very well with the music and score that they put into this movie that creates just an amazing atmosphere. It's a truly very vibey film that had me on the edge of the seat like a good thriller should, and it really made me want to see so much more. Ultimately, by the end of the movie, I wanted so much more. Now, I can't fault the movie for not providing that necessarily. It does go places that I love. It wasn't perfect, but the acting, I thought, did a pretty damn good job of conveying each of the characters' points of view. It felt credible and realistic and very well above average. It wasn't, Oscar levels, but they're pretty good actors. Let's just say that. Mixed with the aesthetics and the story, it really opens up a lot to think about in your mind with what the technology they're using in this movie, which I don't want to get too deep into, but I will say that if you're thinking about quantum realities, quantum physicists, and, you kind of get the idea that this is a other dimensional kind of thing, right? So that right there should perk your mind open pretty big, but don't let it get too big, okay? This is still an indie movie, and they have a budget that they have to stay within. It does have practical, it goes some places that you really want it to, but it can't go as far as I really wish that it could have. Now, I do want to mention there is a really cool cover for this movie, and it instantly draws me in because it's got like some creature stuff on it, and so it's definitely like in that wheelhouse that I really like. I do want to say it's not that it's misleading, but just don't get too crazy in your mind. For me, I'm like thinking like, in the mouth of madness, like throw every creature in the book at me. And you may not get that here. So that's all I'll say. To compare it, there would be something that you may have seen, and I think it's on Netflix, but it was the Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. And there was one episode, I think it was like one of the last episodes by Panos Cosmatos, but he did this episode called The Viewing, and it had a bunch of different random people in there, and it was like really mind expanding. It kind of got the same vibe as that, and even some of the same colors and the same, you know, style in a way. You know, obviously that had a much bigger budget than this movie probably, but it really looks cool, and it reminds me of that vibe that I got from that episode, which is probably one of the best episodes of the entire thing. Anyway, the A-frame definitely goes places that I think a lot of us who like stuff like Lovecraft, sci-fi thriller stuff using machines to traipse into different dimensions and things that kind of percolate your mind into wondering that. I think that if they had enough money, they could do a sequel of this that would go so much further and like explaining how it all worked and everything. And it really had me kind of elated into wanting to know more about that world and kind of seeing a movie that goes even further than that. Like I said, I keep saying I want to see it go further. It's just because I'm just so fascinated with this kind of story, and it just is the right kind of recipe for me as a film watcher to get invested in. That said, even though it's like the right recipe, the right flavoring, and everything's in the right position, I wasn't like blown away by this, but it is damn good filmmaking, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what Calvin Lee Reeder does in the future. I would lower your expectations a little bit, you know, it is an indie film, but I still think there is a lot here to really chew on. It's not just bone, there is meat here, and it is good meat, and I really enjoyed this ride. I love the vibe. I think he should stick to more stuff like this, because man, it was just vibing with me so hard, and I really enjoyed it. Give Calvin Lee Reeder a fucking budget, guys. Producers out there, send this to your producer, Calvin. Let him run with it, guys. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Anyway, he wrote it and directed it, so I mean, it really is kind of his baby, and I'm sure that he's probably even gone deeper than this movie even shows in his mind, building this story anyway. But it's really fascinating. I really liked all the different characters. Donna, the girl who plays Donna, does a really good job. She's got kind of a mixed role, like where she kind of plays, you know, wounded, but then also kind of strong. You got Rishi, who's just this comedian guy who is always telling jokes, kind of bad jokes too, but you really start to care for his character. And then Sam is like this alluring sort of scientist who, you know, is kind of like just strange, super charming, kind of a dangerous combo in the horror sci-fi thriller genre. You know, you always expect something not to be you know, up to snuff when it comes to those kind of things. So yes, of course, things get a little out of hand, and they go places that I think you should be pleased as a viewer of indie sci-fi thriller goodness like this. I would give this movie probably a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10. Again, it didn't blow me away, but man, it was right there on the cusp of just like something that I would definitely rewatch again and again. I would pick up a copy of this easy on physical media, so hopefully we get something more than just a DVD. Like, I don't need 4K, but just give me a Blu-ray at least, you know? But yeah, highly recommend checking it out. I've heard nothing about this. I think I saw a trailer like a month or so ago, and I like instantly wrote them. I was like, hey, this is like me, because Beyond the Void, you know, like that's everything that this channel is about. I love stuff that goes beyond the void. That's the whole reason I'm here, guys. So if you love Lovecraft and stuff like that, you're in the right place. If you're looking for independent films that maybe nobody's talking about, I'm your boy. Please hit the like, subscribe button and all that stuff, and let me know what you think about the concept of this and where it might go. I don't want to spoil anything, even though I could probably talk about this to the ends of the earth. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for coming by, and as always, long live the void.